with Scott Allen.
Hello, I am your host, Scott Allen, and this is Phronesis, Practical Wisdom for Leaders. If the topic is leadership, I'm in. I've spent more than 20 years in the field teaching, learning, writing, and questioning. When I'm not working on Phronesis, I travel, delivering keynotes, working with individuals and teams, and helping people from organizations across industries become better leaders. Want to learn more? Visit me at scottjallen.net. Phronesis offers a smart, fast-paced discussion about all things leadership. We explore relevant topics and incorporate practical tips to help you make a difference in how you lead and live. Listen Notes lists Phronesis in the top 3% of podcasts worldwide. Phronesis is the official podcast of the International Leadership Association. ILA brings together those who teach, study, and develop leadership, advancing leadership knowledge and practice for a better world. Learn more at ila-net.org. Finally, if you enjoy Phronesis, please subscribe to stay current on our weekly episodes. If you find an episode that resonates, please share it with your colleagues and friends. And if you want more content, subscribe to my newsletter, The Leader's Edge. The link is in the show notes. As always, thanks for listening. And now, here's today's show. Okay, everybody, welcome to the Phronesis podcast. Thank you for checking in wherever you are in the world. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I have a returning guest today, one of my earliest guests, and I'm so excited for this conversation. I have Dr. Sara Safari. She is an author, speaker, mountain climber, college professor, electrical engineer, and an advocate for women empowerment. She is the founder and president of a nonprofit called Climb Your Everest that focuses on empowering marginalized young women through educational programs. She has received the award for the Global Citizen from the United Nations Association in 2015. She is a board member and director of development in Empower Nepali Girls Foundation. She also has received the award for outstanding practice with board impact in the area of women and leadership from the International Leadership Association in 2017. Sara is the first Iranian in history to climb the 7 summits, the 7 highest peaks on each continent. Sara, the last time we spoke, you had one left. One left. And I emailed you, gosh, it might have been about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was watching on Netflix kind of a visual of some of our conversation in this series called Aftershock. Yeah. And that was a powerful, powerful story. I want to get to that, but I want to start, you did it. You did it, didn't you?
Finally, after 7 years after the earthquake, it took me 7 years really to convince myself and go back and finish the 7th summit. Yes, I did it. I finished.
So talk about the experience. Can you just share a couple stories from what it was like on the mountain and what it was like to achieve your goal?
If you remember in 2015, when I was at 20,000 feet, there was a 7.8 earthquake that struck Nepal, and I was climbing a ladder. And you probably watched it in Aftershock, the series on Netflix. You kind of have the image right now that the earthquake happened. It was very dramatic, very scary. I felt that I'm dying. I felt that I'm going to fall down into a crevasse buried under the snow. So that wall that I faced, all those fears, all those trauma that I faced in 2015, I thought I've been working on them. I saw a therapist. I felt like I really dealt with that trauma in the past 7 years. But 4 months ago, when I was on Everest and I faced that wall again, everything came back. It felt like this is it. This is the earthquake. I'm right in front of the wall and it's going to collapse on me. And this is it. I'm going to be buried alive again. And I was frozen and I was crying. I couldn't move anymore. And this, imagine it's like 6 a.m. It's 20,000 feet. It is cold. The whole team, some people are ahead of me, some people are behind me. And they are looking at me, looking at this wall and just crying. And first, nobody knew what happened because I didn't share with, I guess, one or two people in the whole group, but not everybody in the whole team. So they were shocked that how come this girl, she came here to climb Everest and she's crying. What happened? So then I had to share with everyone, not there, not then, what happened in 2015. And we had an amazing team, so everybody was so understanding and kind of the situation. What happens on a very high altitude mountain, when you're climbing, you don't climb it once. You go up, you come back down a bunch of times. And so I had to face that wall 6 times. I had to climb that wall 6 times.
Wow.
The first time, of course, I was frozen and I was crying. And then I thought, okay, if this is how it's going to be, I'm not going to get to the top of the mountain because every time I get to the wall, I start crying. And I started dealing with my trauma right on the wall with my team members, with myself, writing, journaling every day, because we were on the mountain for 60 days. So I had 60 days to process that trauma, to be able to get to the top of the mountain that I always wanted to climb. So for people who are hearing right now, I want you to apply this to your trauma, the things that you're dealing with life, and it's very traumatic. Because I think while I was crying, it was not just for the wall. It was all the trauma that happened to me all my life, growing up in Iran, dealing with everything that I had to dealt with in Iran, the oppressive environment, which I'm going to tell you more about later. But it's like all my life trauma were right in front of me, in my face, and I wanted to get to the top of Everest. So I kept writing, talking to the wall and telling the wall. First, I started by, I hate you. I don't like you. I don't want to even climb you. And then the 6 times when I was climbing the wall, I told the wall, I love you. Thank you for keeping me safe that day. Because I mean, I survived. I didn't die. And I really appreciate you because of what happened on that day, I got to do so much more for the girls that was so important for me. And I got to write a book and I got to do a TEDx talk and I got to do so much more just because of what happened on this wall. So I went from I hate you to I love you in 60 days, less than 60 days. I think that was the reason I was climbing Everest, not the top.
Wow. What a powerful, powerful story, Sara.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful, the sixth attempt where you are kind of reconciling with the wall, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember first when I decided to climb Everest, it was last year right now. And I was thinking like, I don't need to climb Everest. There is no reason for me to go up there. Why do I even want to go up there? It's another mountain. It's just a piece of rock. But the dealing with that trauma was so necessary, so important. When I was getting off of Everest, I felt like a feather. I was so light I could fly. I never had that experience before. And I realized, wow, I had to go back, because a lot of times we don't want to deal with our traumas. Who wants to deal with their trauma? It's just scary. Who wants to cry that much? Who wants to deal with it?
Yeah.
And but I was forced. I wanted to get to the top so bad that I just had to face that trauma. I had to cry as much as I cried, and I had to be brave as much as I had to. And I got sick on the mountain a bunch of times, but then I'm like, I'm not leaving. I have to get up there no matter what, and I do my best. Of course, I had a very strong team of kind and amazing people who were very understanding of my situation, and I told my guide, you have all the power. If at any point you think I'm not supposed to go up, just tell me, Sara, go back home. You're not ready this year. But then the whole time, the whole team, everybody were very supportive, and they're like, we don't understand why you didn't came back, because a lot of people don't want to face their trauma. A lot of team members were sharing stories of other people who never came back. So we had a very kind, positive, supporting team of people climbing the mountain. So I want to thank Madison Mountaineering and my guide Garrett Madison and the whole team for being so amazing.
Sara, tell me a little bit about the summit attempt. Tell us about that day a little bit.
We woke up at 12 a.m. Of course, we are at 27,500 feet. We are sleeping at that elevation. This is the last camp, Camp 4. 12 a.m., we wake up. It's so windy. The whole tent was shaking so badly. You at any point you're like, just I'm gonna fly with the tent, and this is it. This is the end of my life. But then we woke up, of course, had breakfast, and by breakfast I mean like we made some hot water. We had some hot water, and I don't remember what I had. Maybe some chocolate. I just wanted, so excited to. This is it. Like it's 9 years every day. I'm saying I want to climb Everest. 9 years every day, sometimes 10 times a day. And then this is it. This is the day. This is the day I'm climbing Everest. Of course, you have headache. It's like that elevation. I've been coughing like crazy for the past 50 days. So this is May 20th, 2022.
Okay.
We started going up. It was so windy. My toes and my fingers are extremely cold. And I think we woke up at 12 a.m. By the time I wore my clothes and I was ready and I ate something, was 2 a.m. So I started really walking up at 2 a.m. And we are going up. You see a line of lights going up the mountain. It's very windy, but it's so beautiful and gorgeous at the same time. And at 6 a.m., we got to the balcony of Everest. It's like at 28,500 feet, I think. And then it's like, that's where you get to see the view of the whole world, really. Because that's the only kind of flat part halfway between Camp 4 and summit. So you already went halfway. You're done with 4 hours of the climb. There's 4 more hours and you're at the top. So, but then still, I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry and I haven't slept well for a few nights. I'm coughing, but who cares? I have to get to the top of the mountain. So I continued going up from balcony, and then we saw the sunrise. It was so beautiful. The whole world went yellow and orange, and then the sun was out, and it was just so beautiful because you're seeing these high, very, very high altitude mountains in the world, and they are just orange and so beautiful. It's all white. And then on one side, it's Nepal, and on one side, it's China. And continued going up. And it was 1 more hour to the top. And I asked my guide, like, how much more? And he said, 1 more hour. And I couldn't believe it, that it's 9 years. It's 9 years. It's just 1 more hour. I was extremely tired, very tired. I couldn't move. I didn't have anything in me, but I thought there is no way. Like, I'm just going to give my 200%. I'm done with the 100. I'll just give the extra. I have to get to the top of this mountain. I'm not going to go back and down at this point. And so the last hour, I was extremely emotional. I like 20 minutes before getting to the top, I was counting the time in my brain. And then I think someone, maybe a guide or another climber, told me 20 more minutes. And then I just lost it. I started crying. I was sobbing. I couldn't see anything because I was crying so much. My goggles were fogging, and I of course I have oxygen mask on. My oxygen mask was 100% wet. I couldn't even take it off to clean my face because everything would freeze in a second. So I just had to keep everything, and it was so foggy. I kind of couldn't see anything, but I'm like, that's okay. I could see only the footsteps of a person right in front of me. And then I'm like, I'm just going to follow that. And after 20 minutes, I saw the prayer flags on the top of the mountain, because there are a lot of prayer flags, which are the Nepali flags, which are blessed by the Lama. And the reason they are up there, because on the flags, there are written prayers. And then they say when the wind comes, they take the prayer to the air. So everything becomes blessed and becomes safe. So it's kind of the reason that all the flags are up there. And then I saw the flags and I knew this is it. This is the top. And I'm only few steps from it. And I started crying so badly. I fell on my knees because I was just so happy. I've never been that happy my whole life. And I'm crying. I was looking at the summit and I couldn't even believe I'm there. So we were very lucky. There are not that many people on the mountain that day. So I walked up the mountain. I got to the top and I was standing there and I was looking around and I was like, how did this happen? Like, I couldn't even believe it or understand it. I was just kept thinking about the past 9 years, but I didn't have any memories. And it felt like my whole life was summarized into this 1 second. And this is the most important second of my life. And every single cell in my body was dancing. I felt like I'm one with the whole world. I felt so connected to everything. I can't even describe the feeling. I'm trying to put it into words, and I've been trying for the past few months to put words into that feeling. But I'm like, no, there was more than this. It was more than this. So it was, and then and then we took pictures for a few minutes. It was windy, of course, and cold. So we started walking down, and I was so excited. I was just for days, I would say a month after May 20th, I was dancing in my heart. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, talk about the way down. How does that work? It always the stories always ends when someone's summited, and then but
Yeah.
you're only halfway done.
Yeah, exactly. So I kept telling myself, you are only summited if you get to the base camp safely. So now we have to go camp 4, camp 3, camp 2, camp 1. And then the most scariest part of the mountain is between camp 1 and base camp. So really, you're not, really haven't summited the mountain until you're in the base camp, because the worst part is at the very end. And so I kept telling myself, you haven't summited. Summit is like 4 days from now. Summit is 4 days from now. Keep your energy. You still have to stay very healthy, take care of yourself and all that. On the way down, of course, you're extremely tired because you've kind of given everything on the way up. There's not much left. But then the excitement, the memories, I kept reviewing all the memories of the summit. I like telling myself, wow, you did it. How did you, I kept like kind of talking very positively to myself, and then think about, I'm going to get to the base camp and give the news to my family. It was funny. My family, as soon as I came down to the base camp and I called my mom to say that I summited, she didn't care. She's like, are you okay? Are you healthy? Like, yeah, I'm okay. I still have 10 fingers and 10 toes.
Oh, wow. And then I imagine it's a little bit of a celebration at base camp for those who've summited, right?
Yeah. Everybody was so excited. We were tired, so we just couldn't wait to come back down to Kathmandu to take a shower and, just sleep on a regular bed and use a regular restroom and eat regular foods. It was just, we were all very, very, very tired, especially because we wanted to be safer. We had a very big group. We wanted to be safe, so we waited for everybody else to summit Everest and go last. Because then remember those pictures of traffic on Everest and everything?
Yes.
We didn't want that to happen to us because it's very dangerous. If you wait in a long line, you can get frostbite and everything. So we waited for all the other groups, all the other countries, all the other teams to summit, and then we went for the summit. We just wanted to have some alone time on the top of the mountain as well. So then imagine we waited like extra days on the mountain, and we were all just couldn't wait to get to a shower and a regular food, you know. It was such an amazing experience for me. It was very spiritual. It was like the summit was amazing. The feeling was great. It I needed to get to the top of that mountain, I guess, for my mental health, I guess. But it was not just about that 5 minutes on the summit. It was really about that 60 days of staying with the mountain, staying with the trip, not thinking about the top, just staying with the mountain and staying present in the moment and enjoying every single moment. Because you have no idea until 5 minutes to the top if you're going to make it to the top or not. If you don't enjoy the other 59 days and 23 hours, then you haven't really enjoyed that 60-day trip. So I kept telling myself there's no guarantees. We cannot predict anything. Anything can go wrong at any moment. It could be avalanches and anything can happen. Just try to enjoy every second of it and try to find growth for yourself in every single second of it. And of course, I was doing fundraising throughout the whole climb. So it was very important for me to keep giving reports to on my social media to people on how am I doing, what's happening. And that was the whole reason. I mean, really, I guess after 9 years of climbing, for me, it was more important that I reach my goal of fundraising than getting to the top, even though I'm very happy that I made it to the top.
Well, let's switch gears to that because, climb your Everest. Tell listeners about, because all along you have not only been challenging yourself, but you've been doing this in an effort to help others and raise awareness and build relationships and make connections and empower, as your bio said, young women around the world. So tell us a little bit about Climb Your Everest. I'm really interested in this.
Last year, November, as I was planning to climb Everest, I thought it's 9 years that I've climbed for 7 different nonprofit organizations that are empowering women globally. And I've been climbing different mountains to do that. So this is mountain number 7, the 7th summit. And it would be great if I can create more motivation for myself. That's my theory, that any person who is doing good, they need to make it very personal to be able to motivate themselves in a very hard days and difficult days. And for me to be able to connect to the mountain, to Everest, I decided to start my own nonprofit organization last year, November. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to dedicate this climb to do fundraising for the nonprofit organization. So again, same as all the other 6 other summit, I said, $1 per foot of the elevation of the mountain. And my original goal was to climb 2 mountains in a row. If you put the elevation together, it would be a number close to 60,000 feet. And my goal was to raise $60,000, which I reached my goal. And that made, I mean, as soon as I reached my goal, I thought, oh, okay, I don't have to summit the mountain anymore. Because I reached my goal before getting to the top of the mountain. So I was like, okay, I'm done. So the nonprofit that I founded last November, Climb Your Everest, was inspired by the past 9 years, by the past 7 organizations that I climbed for inspired by all the women that I met in the past 9 years, living in very rural places, not having access to any opportunities, but still being so powerful, so strong, so smart, and fighting and facing their challenges, and got all those hardship stories was my inspiration to start this nonprofit organization. And it's only a year that we are working, and most of the year, to be honest, I was either training for Everest or climbing Everest or doing paperwork for nonprofit. But now we are active in 3 different countries, empowering women. And I'm hoping by next year, right now, I can tell we are active in many, many countries and we are empowering women. So I used my dissertation research, which was about empowering women in Nepal. I used that research to create a program, and now I'm using that to kind of empower these women. So, but the whole goal, our mission is to empower marginalized women to have fulfilling lives. And it's been going well. It's doing great. We've done a lot of virtual workshops. I use this methodology called VPAR, Virtual Participatory Action Research, which kind of virtual part of it came because I was doing my dissertation during COVID. So I was forced to do things virtually, which it is great because now we have the technology and we can access rural places that we couldn't access before, and we provide educational programs for women globally where before maybe we couldn't even able to reach, or we didn't have the technology. So that's really great now.
So what three countries are you working in? Because you just returned from Nepal, correct? You were
Yes.
actually in Nepal doing some work recently.
Yes. The workshops we did in Nepal was in person, but the rest of the workshop is virtual. So Nepal, India, and Afghanistan are the three countries we are working in. India and Afghanistan is still virtual. I don't think I can travel to Afghanistan now, but hopefully in the future, if we can change the regime in Iran, then we will inspire Afghani women to do something in Afghanistan.
Well, I wanna go there in a little bit. I want to go there in a little bit, but I want to hear a little bit more about how people can be involved or engaged in your work. For listeners who feel inspired by your story, your mission, how can people engage? How can people get involved?
So people who have studied the psychology or leadership or sociology, who have done such a thing like workshop and leadership courses for women or young women, and they are interested to be a part of the leading the workshops and be a volunteer in the organization, they can contact us through our website, Climb Your Everest, and we can work together, maybe collaborate together, maybe even nonprofits who are working in different countries and they are looking for programs similar to the programs that we have. Like we are teaching different skills such as self-confidence, communication skills, problem solving, mental health, effective feedback, critical thinking, conflict management, public speaking, financial literacy, team building, goal setting, and tempered radicalism. Kind of these are the different topics that we work on with these young women. And when the young women are trained, they go to other places to teach what they've learned to other women. We are hoping that we can make the whole thing virtual. So we are hoping to contact the Starlink and ask for their collaboration so that we can provide internet for women in very rural areas so everybody can teach these classes virtually from anywhere in the world. So any of the experts could be a part of this big group of volunteers, and we can educate people all over the world, especially women in the countries, in the areas that they don't have access to any sort of education. But until we become fully 100% virtual, we are experts who are willing to volunteer their time and energy. They can contact us, and they can be a part of training the trainers. For organizations, nonprofit or for-profit organizations who can benefit from this program, or they can provide programs for these women, they are more than welcome to contact us, and I'm open to collaboration. And for women who are hearing this and they would love to be a part of these programs, no matter where they are in the world, they are more than welcome to contact us. We also have workshops for women in the United States, and each woman in the US that they are participating in these workshops, they are paying for another woman in a rural village or a third world country to participate in these classes for free. People can contribute in any way or shape or form that they want to, and they can all contact us through our website, Climb Your Everest, or they can email me at sara@climbyourEverest.org.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And again, you're doing good in the world and trying to pay it forward and help other women live into whatever their Everest is. And so I love the name. I love the name. I love the story. I love your mission. And
Thank,
you had mentioned a little bit ago, Iran. As the first Iranian to have climbed the seven summits, which is just incredible,
thank.
how are you thinking about current events in the country? How are you experiencing this?
It's been the most difficult 60 days of my life, to be honest. It really feels like climbing Everest because it's such people in Iran have been protesting in the past 60 days, and just watching the government killing innocent people, innocent, very young people, teenagers, just for a peaceful protest that they're doing in the streets. They want to have freedom of choice. They want to be able to wear the things that they want to wear, not the things that are forced to them. They just want to be free and be able to do things. They want to have a relationship with the rest of the world, like kind of basic human rights that they are not provided for them. And so just watching the news being very depressing. We've been emailing a lot of journalists all over the world to cover the news. But the problem is Iran has oil, and there are a lot of countries who want that oil. So they want the area to have peace so that they can keep using the oil. And if the government changes, it takes some time. And then I think there are a lot of governments. I mean, I'm not a politician, so I don't want to speak like a politician, but I know that because of Iran's oil, a lot of countries, a lot of powerful countries, they don't want instability in the area, and they prefer to stay and work with the same regime. And but the people of Iran, they don't want it. And this movement is started by women. They've been trying to oppress women for the past 43 years, and it's just so beautiful watching women, very young women, teenagers, the new generation. They don't understand it. They want freedom. They want to be able to do the things that they really want to, and they are in the street protesting. A lot of kids are being killed. The Congress of Iran just signed permission to kill 15,000 protesters. These are all young people, and they arrested these 15,000 people in the past 2 months, and now the Congress signed to kill them. And that's unbelievable that this is happening on that side of the world, and nobody is covering this.
I did not realize that. So the government has authorized permission to murder 15,000
Yeah,
protesters?
protesters, yes, unfortunately. And yesterday, there was an article that came out. One of these newspapers, they were fact checking with a professor of history in Oklahoma or Texas to make sure that this is actually happening. And there was an article saying, no, this is a lie. Nobody's dying. But there are so many videos of Islamic Republic police, the government's police, who are killing people in the streets just because they are walking. They're killing them because they are walking. So it's not that they have guns. It's not that they are doing anything. There's so many videos of this. So it doesn't even need a fact check. Just go watch the videos that are out there, and people are videoing every day, even today. So I mean, to be honest, a lot of countries in the world, they don't want the regime change. And it's just up to people of Iran, and it has a big price, unfortunately. It's very sad. It's been the most difficult 60 days of my life watching news and seeing innocent people, innocent, very young people being killed.
Yeah, I saw something in the news of a climber who had uh maybe she was climbing. It was I think
Yeah.
it might have been an indoor. Can you talk about that? What did you
Yeah, she actually took off her scarf during the competition. Her competition was somewhere in Europe or Korea, I think. And she took off her scarf, and as soon as she got to her hotel, they arrested her. They told her, "You need to tell the news, the government's news, that this happened and you didn't see that your scarf fell. Tell them it just, but mistakenly your scarf fell. You didn't really want it to get rid of your scarf." And so you should see that interview. In her face, obviously she's saying, kind of copying or kind of repeating the words that they said, and obviously this is not the way she talks. And then kind of the words that she used in that interview which are a big lie. She just did it to protect her own life and her family's life. It became a joke. Now everybody in the street, they take off their scarf. If they find a picture, they repeat her words. And it's a sad joke that people are trying to deflect the sadness and the anger by making jokes, because it's so hard to tolerate this much pressure and watching all these killings and still performing, being able to function and being able to decide to still go to the street and do more protests.
Well, Sarah, you better than most people understand some of the challenges that exist really all over the world. And like I said, the first time we talked on the podcast, I just have so much respect because you are out there in the world and making a difference and trying to help individuals live better lives. And I think that's just such an incredible mission. And I just have such great respect.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
What else? Anything else that you want to mention, Sarah, before we close out for today that is on your mind?
People can support us and support the Climb Your Everest organization by participating in our annual trips. Every year, we go to Nepal and we do workshops for women in different villages. And I think it would be very valuable when we visit these villages and we do a workshop for these women, because all the people in the town, in the village, they see that people have traveled from all over the world, especially United States, to help them, to support them, to empower them. The people in the village see how much we value their women, that their education is so important to us, that we traveled this far. So it's kind of helping these women, helping the people of village see the value of these workshops and allow their women to continue their education, allow their women to participate in these workshops, get a job, be more independent, have more fulfilling lives. And I think when people come with me every year and they see these villages, visit the homes of the girls, or even go to their schools and do the workshops with me as a volunteer, it's a very life-changing experience. At the same time, the young women get to meet people from different cultures, different backgrounds, and learn, get some experience and get more confidence that people care about them, people love them, they are important for other people. And I think that's another valuable contribution that people can do.
Well, we will put information about that in the show notes so that listeners can click and they can explore. And of course, we'll have your contact information. I know that you're active on Instagram, active on LinkedIn, and just so that people can connect with you, follow, get engaged on any number of different levels. I mean, again, obviously you would take financial support, but you're also, it's the old time, talent, treasure, right? People's time,
Yeah.
people's
Yeah.
talents, people's treasure. I mean, I think you're doing incredible work in the world and trying to make the world a better place. And Sarah, I'm just so excited for you. I think at the last part of our conversation last time, I said that I would call this episode "She Climbed Everest." I think is maybe what I had said. But there was a moment in this conversation where you said every cell in my body was dancing. I kind of like that title too.
Sounds good.
So we'll see. We'll see what we come up with.
Okay.
We would love to have you back, and we'd love to have you back. And maybe next time we talk, maybe we have a conversation with you and maybe some of the young women. I mean, that could be really, really interesting, getting
Right.
some of their experiences, how some of this training and some of the workshops and the education, how it's impacting them. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that could be that's a good idea. But we need to do it in Nepal time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we will do that for sure. Maybe we'll be in Nepal. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe a good idea. But when your daughters are older, I think that would be a good idea to bring them to Nepal to meet the girls.
Oh, wouldn't that be incredible?
How old
Absolutely
are they
incredible.
now?
They are 12.
12. Okay, 3 more years.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Okay.
We will put it on the agenda. We will
All
put it
right.
on the agenda, Sarah. Thank you so much for stopping
You're
by.
welcome.
Thanks for checking in. And as always, thanks for the good work you do.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There are so many emotions kind of packed into that episode. Re-listening to it and editing it was just a wonderful experience. Whether it's the story right out of the gates of Sara on the wall and kind of confronting that experience, or the joy and the elation of summiting, and then the hope baked into the organization that she's starting and the purposing, and then the pain and the struggle embedded in the story of her home country. It really was. I was all over the place from an emotional standpoint, just powerful. Sara, you know how I feel. I said it a few times in the episode. I'm just so thankful that there are people like you doing the work out there in the world. And I'm so very thankful for the time that we spent together, and that story can be shared with others. Climb your Everest, whatever that Everest is for you. You have just finished another episode of Practical Wisdom for Leaders with Scott Allen. To contact me, visit scottjallen.net or send me a note at scott@scottjallen.net. I'm also on LinkedIn, so let's connect. If you have feedback, I'd love to hear it. And as always, thank you so much for listening. And now here's my daughter, Emily, with the outro.
You've been listening to Phronesis, Practical Wisdom with Scott Allen.